Thank you to LumeCube for sponsoring this video. Check out their brand new 360-degree color Panel Pro at the link down in the description. Something interesting happened in 2020 that I don't think a lot of people were expecting. Okay, that might be a little bit of an understatement, but what I'm talking about specifically was the release of the Sony A7c. It was mostly marketed as a more compact version of the Sony A7 III. And to be completely honest, a lot of the decisions that they made have people pretty confused, myself included. Which one should you buy if you're in the market for this level of a camera? What are the main differences between the two? And if you already have the A7 III, is it worth picking up the A7c? So here's what I want to do today. I want to take a look at both of these cameras and try and answer some of those questions for you guys by doing some tests and talking about my experience with the cameras. So let's kick things off by shooting some tests. Okay, so first things first, I want to test the new color science in the A7c. Sony's been talking about it a lot in their new cameras, how they've updated their color science, but I want to see how much of a difference they could have possibly made considering that these two cameras have the same sensor and processor. So the first thing that I did was a raw image comparison, and as I expected, there is not much of a difference, if any, here, with the exception of me holding the color checker the wrong way around in one of the pictures. But looking at the skin tones, they look pretty much identical, and if I even zoom in and match up the colors between the color checker, they're looking pretty darn identical. Now here, as I expected, we're seeing a big difference. This is video mode in standard, no picture profile, just to see what they're doing in camera, and there's a huge difference. The left side here, we've got the A7c, and it looks much more pleasing and natural. The right side is the A7 III. It looks oversaturated, and it's warmer. They were on the same white balance, same lens, same everything. All the settings were exactly the same, and yet there seems to be a big difference in the color, and personally, I really like the way that the A7c looks. Better, straight out of camera. One thing that has plagued the Sony Alpha line of mirrorless cameras is the rolling shutter in 4K, so I wanted to make sure to test that. And so what I did is I sat down in my drum set and I played along with the song, and what we want to look for here is the warping in the sticks, because that's going to indicate how much rolling shutter we have. Let me know down in the comments if you recognize the song I'm playing along with. It's a little remix of mine. So if we pause the video when I'm mid-swing with the stick, you can see that there's plenty of rolling shutter still. I know we improved it with the Sony A7S III, but unfortunately not on the A7C. With the decreased size of the A7C, they actually had to make a whole new shutter release system and a brand new image stabilization system to go inside the camera. So then that begs the question, is that in-body image stabilization as good or better than the A7 III? So what I want to do is test it in kind of a walking vlogging situation and take a moment to also talk to you about LumeCube's brand new Panel Pro. All right, so I missed my shot to do this outside. It's too dark and too cold, so we're on a treadmill, which actually, from a scientific standpoint, might actually be more accurate. So starting things off with the Sony A7 III, this is with the stabilization turned on. You've only really got one option there. Now let me tell you about the LumeCube Panel Pro. The LumeCube Panel Pro is the newest addition to the pocket-size LEDs from LumeCube, and they've packed a whole bunch of awesome new features into it. Not only can you change the color between 3000 and 5700 Kelvin, but you also have 360 different color options now. And with a CRI above 96, you know you're going to be getting awesome color rendering, which is what you would expect from a company like LumeCube. All right, now we're on to the A7C, and we're using the in-body stabilization. The LumeCube Panel Pro also now has Bluetooth connectivity, so you can connect it to their app in your phone, and you can control not only the color, saturation, brightness, whatever you want from the comfort of your chair. And for our third test, we're still on the Sony A7C, but we're going to use the gyro data in Sony Catalyst Browse to do the stabilization in post. So right now I've turned off the stabilization in the camera so that we can do that. The Lume Cube Panel Pro fits in your pocket. It's got 3/4 20 mounts, so you can mount it a whole bunch of different ways, and it's just so darn useful. And if you don't believe me, I have a whole video on the original Lume Cube panel on 9 uses in 90 seconds, and this one has even more because you've got the option of colors. If you pre-order a Lume Cube Panel Pro right now, Lume Cube has promised to have it shipped before Christmas, so you'll get it in time to add some color to all your decorations. Make sure to go check out the link down in the description. I'm actually kind of getting tired now. Let's go back and take a look at these. All right, so taking a look at these, between the A7 III and the A7C with just the in-body stabilization, I don't see a huge difference in the new stabilization. It's looking pretty similar, and just so that it said, I wasn't doing anything to try and smooth this out at all. I was just full on just walking and shaking like crazy. Now, when we look at the footage that's stabilized in post, it's definitely smoother, but you get all of the little shakes from every time I take a step, and it kind of like makes the whole thing go blurry. So there is definitely a trade-off there. It's nice that you have that option, but it would work better if the footage was already semi-smooth to start with. So as you can see, there are definitely some changes that have happened in those categories, but I think where the biggest changes are is in the functionality of these two cameras, the way you use them, things like menus being updated, those kinds of things. Now, unfortunately, they haven't given us the new menu system that we see on the A7S III. That's probably one of the biggest bummers about this camera, but they definitely have made a lot of changes, so I'm gonna try and go through as many of them as I've found so far. The A7C now has the focus area limit option, so you can decide which focus areas you want to be choosing from. It's also got the newest autofocus features, including the new tracking, which I just think is awesome, as well as the new speed adjustments that you can make to your focusing. The A7C has the ability to choose your focus frame color from red or white. It has the ability to set all 3 custom white balances with the movable point now. It has the autofocus point circulation, which means you can go off one side of the screen and onto the other if you like that, as well as the ability to speed up how fast your autofocus point moves. It has shutter auto white balance lock. It no longer has AVC HD in video, which is not really a big deal to me, but it's gone. It has a separate autofocus magnification setting for video mode. As far as I'm aware, there is now no option to turn off the electronic front curtain shutter. Probably something to do with the new shutter mechanism inside the camera. The A7C has the ability to change your viewfinder frame rate. In the menus, we've got the new visual custom key setup. They've added the new function called My Dial, where you can hit a custom button and change what a dial does. The A7C also has separate function menu settings between video and photo mode, which is a big one for me. I really enjoy having those 2 separate function menus. They've added the ability to jump by 10 or 100 images when reviewing images. The A7C with HDMI plugged in will still work with autofocus for face tracking and eye tracking. You can set up the name of video files in the A7C. You now have the ability to open from My Menu, which basically when you hit the menu button, it automatically jumps to the My Menu page. As far as I could find, there is no setting for IR remote. So if you use a remote like this, I don't think you have any luck with the A7C. Tell me if I'm wrong on that one. For those of you who shoot vertical video, the video files that you pull off of the A7C will automatically be rotated to the correct orientation, the way you shot it. And then we've got some of the physical differences, like obviously it's a lot smaller. It's about 20% smaller and lighter. A lot of that has to do with the fact that they've taken the EVF off the top and put it onto the side. And it's got a flip screen, which is huge. They've also improved the port doors so they're not the annoying flappy things that are on the side of the A7 III. But because of all of this, there are definitely some trade-offs. For example, because they made it smaller, they made the grip a lot smaller. This grip is actually even smaller than the A6600, and I don't know why they did that. I mean, maybe it's just because I got big hands, but I find that really annoying. Because they've taken off the EVF from the top, they've put it over on the side, kind of rangefinder style, and it's definitely not as good an EVF as the A7 III is. The A7 III also has dual card slots, which the A7C does not. That's gonna be a big deal for a lot of people who need that backup. But here's the biggest difference that I've noticed between the two cameras. The usability of the A7 III is significantly advanced over the A7C, specifically because it's got so many more custom buttons. If you look in the menu, you've got 13 customizable functions functions. Whereas on the A7C, you've only got 7. We're missing a joystick, which I've really come to love. The joystick itself is also a button. We're missing custom button 1, 2, and 3. And although you can customize the record button on the A7C to be a custom button, some people probably like to use that as a record button. Also on the A7 III, you've got front and back dials, whereas on the A7C, you've only got the back dial. This is made up for a little bit by the fact that you've got My Dial options in here, so you can customize that a little bit further. And some of the missing custom buttons are kind of made up for by the fact that you've got 2 separate function menus in the A7C, but it really doesn't make that big of a difference having that. What I'm really surprised with is that they didn't go with the same custom button layout as the A6600 for the A7C. They already know it works on a camera of that size. Since those 2 cameras are almost the same size, why not just give us the custom buttons? Either they're messing with us, or there must have been some kind of a logistical reason why they couldn't have those custom buttons there. Even something as simple as having the little toggle style button that we've got for AF on and AEL on the A6600, put that onto the A7C and it would have been just that much better. So really choosing which of these cameras is better for you is gonna come down to a lot of those functions. I would say that if you're mainly a photographer, the A7 III is still probably your better bet. While I do love the new autofocus features that come with the A7C, the A7 III already had great autofocus to begin with, and especially in photo mode, I don't necessarily need all the things that I need for video. Similar thing with the flip screen, I find it much more useful when I'm shooting video, especially of myself, because then I can be in front of the camera and see what I'm shooting. In fact, I think most of the upgrades that I noticed in this camera are geared a little bit more towards maybe video-centric shooters, and even some of the trade-offs that we got with the smaller body, those kind of seem like they were geared towards pushing it into the video category more so than the photo category. That being said, they do have the same sensor, so again, we're looking at similar image quality no matter what way you look at it. So after all that, it's still really hard to make the decision, but here's what I'm thinking. If you already have the A7 III, skip the A7C. I have a funny feeling like probably in the next year or so we'll see the A7 IV, and it'll probably have all of the new stuff that the A7C got, plus more. Hopefully that new menu system, that would be amazing. If you're looking for something compact for travel and those kinds of things, and you're willing to deal with some of the trade-offs that they've made, A7C is your best bet. However, if you are just getting into full frame and you're looking at Sony, then it's pretty much open. You just have to look at some of the things that we looked at in this video, decide what's most important to you, and then go with whichever one makes the most sense. I'm usually a little bit more definitive on my suggestion at the end of these videos, but this one's really difficult because it's just gonna be so subjective and these cameras are so similar. While there are lots of differences, the differences are just these little minor things. So you're gonna have to take a look back through this video and decide what's best for you. But actually, on that point, why don't you head down to the comment section and let me know what you think about the A7C versus the A7 III. Which one would you pick and why? And on your way down there, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on future reviews and tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.